So many different styles of yoga, and these are the ones that speak to me, and this particular lineage really speaks to me. And I tell people all the time, do what you're gonna do, whatever you're gonna that
It's
speaks
not for
to you,
everyone.
right?
Try something
And
different.
there's no right or wrong style of yoga. The best style of yoga is the one that you're gonna actually do.
Welcome back to the Lead Lamp Podcast. This week we have Martha from Open Heart Online Yoga. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so you're a local to the area, and you've been teaching yoga locally, instructing with it, but now you're breaking out and you're doing something online.
Yes, I got certified as a teacher back in October. And so, yes, I teach in person at a local studio, but I started really practicing a lot virtually when COVID hit in 2020. I always say that COVID was the best thing that happened to my yoga practice because I became so much more consistent with my practice because I could practice online. And so I wanted to be able to offer that for other people to have the online option as well. It's a great supplement to an in-person practice if you're traveling or you've got kids at home. You know, I've got 3 young kids, so for me that was always really appealing, especially at a time when we couldn't go out anywhere during COVID.
Everyone's stuck at home.
Right. And then it became, even when things opened up, just the convenience of it. I didn't need childcare. I didn't need a 3-hour chunk of time or 2.5-hour chunk of time because it was just the 90-minute class. I was already home. I could shower. You know, my kids are there. It was just very convenient, and I found myself practicing much more because it was so convenient. And I really learned how important consistency is, whether you have the heat or not. I do heat up my bathroom because I like to sweat. It is traditionally a hot yoga class, but I've done it outside. I've done it in a 70-degree basement. I've done it at an Airbnb in the kitchen. I mean, you can do it anywhere that you've got Wi-Fi and a little bit of space for your mat. So that's what I really love about it because I can keep up with my practice regularly.
Yeah. So you were doing this pre-COVID as well.
I started the hot yoga practice in 2011.
Oh, wow.
2011. I had a friend who was nagging me to go, and I didn't want to go. I don't like to sweat. I don't want to be hot. Why would I do this? But she nagged me enough that I finally gave in. I'm like, fine, I'll try this. And I thought I might die the first class, and my body felt like it was on fire. I sat out half the postures. But then after class, there was some buzzing energy in my body that just felt amazing. And I had signed up as a new student, so I got some discount, unlimited classes for a month. So now I wanted to get my money's worth. So I'm like, let me do as many classes as I can. Yeah. And in that month, I took maybe 2 to 3 classes a week, and I loved it. I loved how it made me feel, and it was challenging. And I thought it would be boring because it's the same postures every time. But it's anything but, because your body is different, and some days you can do certain things, some days you can't.
And the heat probably highlights things that your body's going through where you're like, not today.
Yep, that's exactly right. So I really enjoyed that, and I kept going back, and she stopped going and I kept going. And I had thought about teaching back in 2012, but then we decided we wanted to start our family. And so teacher training was not really in the cards at the time. And then we ended up having 3 kids and little kids, and, you know, life just happens, and going through teacher training was not the right time. And last July, I was actually supposed to play tennis, and it rained that day. And I had a sitter already booked. I'm like, well, I want to do something. I want to get out. I've got a sitter. And I looked at the local yoga studio's schedule, and there was a class that I could make it to that night. So I was like, okay, great. I'll go do a yoga class. And after class, they gave me information about teacher training that was going to be happening locally. And it was like the universe just handed it to me on a silver platter and said, do this. And it was part in person, but locally, and then part virtual. And so I signed up and I got my certification, and here I am.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So you had probably a pretty good base level compared to other students who are just getting into it because maybe they had a passion and now they want to teach it. So you had a good head start.
Yeah. And in retrospect, when I had first wanted to go through teacher training in 2012, I don't think I was ready. I'm glad it didn't work out that way, because I feel like now 2025, I was much more prepared, just understanding the practice and the philosophy and the history behind it.
Yeah. You have more under your belt.
Yes, there's so much more than just the physical part of the practice, and I love that.
But it's funny that you said earlier how the heat element of it highlights different things that are happening whatever's going on in your body, if you're coming down with something like an illness or the flu. And it's kind of like the weather outside actually recently. Like if you already have an ailment, the weather definitely the last 2 days with the smoke, it's going to exacerbate that issue. But I'm sure it's not as extreme as that. But it's still interesting. Do you notice when you're doing the hot yoga stuff that it people can tell, like, oh man, I feel like maybe I was coming down with something. Maybe I was going to have a cold coming up. Like, is that really
sometimes,
true?
Yeah, and sometimes you feel like you kind of sweat it out, or even sometimes you've got, some muscle tightness. I know I've had that plenty of times. I'm like, my back hurts, something. I go to
like a nagging pain.
right, and then I'll go and I'll take a yoga class. And I'm like, oh, that feels so much better. And just like, or if my sinuses are bothering me, I'm like, let me just go and take class. And they're like, okay, I feel like I can breathe better. I feel lighter.
Yeah.
I mean,
if a hot shower does it, and now
Right.
you're adding yoga into it as well, like it's got to clear you up.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And during COVID, I learned how to heat up my bathroom to mimic the studio conditions. But like I said, that I really learned that even if you don't have the heat, you have so many benefits of the practice, and it's that consistency. The more you do it, heated, unheated, doesn't matter.
Just do
get
it.
on the mat and do it.
It's like that with any physical activity. Like now, obviously, there's extremes where, okay, you're doing it too much now.
Right.
But still, in practice, the more you do it, the better it is for you, the better you're going to become at it, the more easily you're going to find ways that you can improve yourself and find little flaws and things you can tweak. So it's just like anything, the more you practice it, the better you're going to become at it.
Absolutely. And there's so much more besides the physical part of it.
It unlocks a lot other.
It does. Really, when you tap into the mental part of it and your concentration and your determination, your focus, your patience, and then trying to use those skills off the mat.
Like, you can't teach that though. Like, do you think there's a moment where people start to lock? Like, can you see that when someone new comes? I've never done it. I come and I'm like, all right, we'll give it a shot. And, I'm getting some of the moves down. I'm probably really stiff because I'm not going to be doing it. I've never done it before. But then there's a moment where you see people like really it kind of digs in and it bites. And they're like, okay, now they're understanding that it's more than just the physical movement of it.
It takes time, and that time's going to be different for everybody. And as a teacher, you talk about it and kind of put it out there for students to receive on their own time, that message. But it varies, and usually people come in for the physical aspect of it, and then as they do it, the physical part more, the mental part starts to slowly come in. Like I said, the timeline's going to be different for everybody. It might be months, it might be years for people. Some people it just might never come, and that's fine. We all have our own timelines. But like I've got a student who I've been working with, and she works so hard, and she's been struggling with balance and was using the wall. And I'm like, just, use the wall, do what you need to do. This is your practice, and just breathe. And she was very in tune with her body and would like follow all the cues that I would give her. And then slowly she would get off the wall, and she would really practice that focus. I'm like, just find a focal point, stare at it. Don't move your eyes. If you fall out, what's the worst that can happen? Nothing.
Do it again.
Right.
Or get back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's just yoga. It's not that big of a deal. And I think just encouraging students to realize that. And then as the focus and that determination really starts to play in, and like now she doesn't use the wall at all, and she just holds that balance. And I love being able to see that in students. And then I've had other students sometimes where they'll rock out a practice physically, but you can tell that mentally they're maybe not there. And then other times they're like, you know what? I just need to like skip a posture and take an extra long savasana and just lay there. I'm like, that's fine. It's your practice. And we'll talk about it after practice. They're like, yeah, I just needed to lay down. And I'm like, well, good. That's a sign that you're listening to your body.
Right.
And now you can just.
The other cool thing about this is, and it just kind of dawned on me, is this isn't something where like you're good or you're bad at it, like a sport.
Nope.
I would be really bad if I just went to go join like a competitive. If I was like, I'm going to pick up bowling, I know I would not do well at it because I stink at bowling. I would get better, but I don't have to be in competitive sports or to do whatever, a team sport. Like, you do have to have some level of skill, and you got to pick it up quick, or your teammates are going to get mad, or you're going to lose. Like, there's no losing in this. You're not like, You're not trying to PR anything. You're just working on yourself. So
Right.
it's not really whether you're good or you're bad at it. It's just you're learning new skills.
And there's modifications and progressions for everything.
Any age,
any age,
ability.
yep.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, and maybe you need to use a wall or a strap or something, or maybe you can go and just stand on your head or do a handstand.
Yeah.
All levels can take it, and there's something to work on. And again, every day the body's different, and maybe yesterday I rocked out this posture that I could do, and now today it's like I've never done this in my life and can't get into it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
There's usually some underlying stressor in your life
you were just
or whatever.
spreading mulch all day, and then the next day you're sore from something, and you got to alter whatever you're doing.
Yeah, and it's interesting, the postures. When we do like back bends and heart opening postures, how that can sometimes release emotions. I remember sometime in the first 2 years of my practice doing a 30-day challenge. So I would every day for 30 days took a class, and like in the third week of that challenge, we went into a back bend and I started crying, and I had no idea why. And to this day, I can't tell you why. I have no idea. But I remember the teachers saying, like, it's a heart opening posture. It's very vulnerable. It sometimes releases emotion. And I'm thinking,
What?
you people are crazy. Like, no. And then like 3 weeks in, all of a sudden, like I'm in it and I just start crying. I'm like, wow, this must be what they're talking about. And like, and it felt good to really and I don't know what I released.
Yeah, you're like, I'm crying, but I feel great.
Yeah, and like I don't know what I released, but I remember that very vividly, and it felt great.
Yeah, I think there's with physical activity. So if you do anything of like endurance or there are moments where you can, like your body, well, it's not always stress, but it's just either a vulnerable moment or fatigue or whatever. But like physical activity can bring out other emotions that are deep in there, and you're just all of a sudden you're finding yourself like, why am I all emotional all of a sudden?
Yep.
Like
sometimes you hold things in your joints and muscles, and that you're not even aware that you're holding, and it's kind of cool when you can release those things
or whatever it is. Yeah. And then the other thing I wanted to touch on before we get too far away from it was, this is for anyone like of any ability. So people might see it on a movie or on TV and they're like, I can't bend like that, or I can't do that pose, or I'm too old for this, or whatever. Like that's not true.
Correct. It's any and all abilities.
Yep.
Right? Like I said, because there's always a modification and there's always a progression. So there's something to work on. And I tell my students all the time, it's not about how far you can go in the posture. It's finding that spot where you're doing the work, whatever that work is,
or whatever
for you.
You get out of it. If you're getting out of it what you expect and you're fulfilled, then that's what it's there for.
Right. That's exactly right.
Do you guys offer kind of all ranges of classes?
So I have two specific types of classes that I teach. So I've got the 26 and 2 Bikram hot yoga class that I teach. And then I also teach a Barkin Vinyasa class, which is, they're both from the same lineage of yoga, just slightly different styles.
Okay.
So the Barkin Vinyasa is typically a 75-minute class. We do 5 vinyasas that we flow through, and then the second part of class is more similar to the Bikram classes, where you hold the postures a little bit longer, and usually we work on certain things. So one class might be working on back bends at the end of class, we kind of change it up. Whereas the 26 and 2 Bikram class, it's the same. You start with a breathing exercise, 26 postures, you do them twice, and then you finish with a breathing exercise. And that's traditionally a 90-minute class, which can be hard to find in studio sometimes.
Yeah. It's a lot of time.
It is.
For physical brick and mortar to give up an hour and a half.
Yeah. So a lot of studios tend to do 60 or 75 minutes. And I understand, like for students, it's hard to find the time to commit. But that 90-minute class is really so important to be able to not just hold the postures and find that physical exploration in each posture, but having the stillness in between each posture and having time to just not move in between each posture, which can be really hard. Stillness can be so hard. And I tell students all the time, even if it's just 1 or 2 breaths, just let the sweat drip. Don't wipe your eyes. Don't take a drink of water yet. Just be. And that can be very challenging in and of its own. And once you can find the physical stillness, then slowly over time, you start finding some mental stillness, which is awesome when you can actually quiet your mind and meditate.
That's such a hard thing, I think, for people to grab the concept of, where, like, sure, I could sit even if you're just sitting in your chair, I could sit in my chair and not move for a minute or two.
But the mind is going.
But this is hard to stop racing, and whatever you're thinking about, it's just it's going to stop. And then the more I'm sure you hear about this, like the more you think about not thinking about things, the more you think about things. So it's hard to get out of that loop. So, and it not just like, I'm not talking about like if you have anxiety or things like that. It's just it's like in your head if you say like, you know, this is impossible. Well, now all you're thinking about is how impossible it is to stop thinking about stuff.
And usually I tell students, you know, focus on your breath. Just think about your breath. You want to have a slightly longer exhale than you have an inhale. I personally sometimes like to just count my inhale and exhale. That just keeps me focusing on one thing, on just my breath.
It narrows your track of mind down to just one thing.
Yes. And over time, you know, it gets a little bit easier. But even when it gets, let's say, easier, then you'll still have days where it's like, wait, I was just able to meditate last week, and then this week
I can't get into it again.
I can't get into it. You know, it's gonna ebb and flow, and it
stress,
varies.
Life, you know, that gets in the way.
Yeah.
Now you offer both of those online, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Let's kind of shift over. We did a little bit of a background into, actually, real quick before we do that, you said two different words, and I'm gonna butcher them I say it, but one was start with a B.
Bikram.
And
Barkin.
Yes.
Yes.
What can you explain what those are? Because I don't know what you just said.
So Bikram is the original hot yoga class, the 26 and 2 postures. So that is your traditional 90-minute hot yoga class that Bikram Chowdhury created. He created this sequence, put it together very masterfully to take care of people and help people with the majority of common ailments.
Got it.
So back in the day in India, they would look at patients or people that needed their help and prescribe them specific yoga postures for whatever their specific ailment was. And that wasn't, after a while, there was too many patients and they just couldn't have the time to do that. So he came up with a sequence that what's going to help the most amount of people.
It covers the biggest audience.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that is how he came up with that sequence. Which I love. I find that to be just really cool. That's
it's kind of like a multivitamin.
Yes.
Like, okay, this is going to take care of most of your things. Here you go.
And it's really masterfully put together. And then, so the Barkin series, Jimmy Barkin actually trained with Bikram. So it comes from the same lineage, but he does the 5 vinyasas. So you kind of flow through a couple sequences for the first part of class. And then the second part of class, like I said, is very similar to, it's the same postures from the Bikram class, but the postures will change each class depending on what you're focusing on that specific class. There's usually 5 different classes that, we work on something different.
Got it.
We rotate through those 5.
Now I know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I mean, they're to someone from the outside.
Right. And there's so many different styles of yoga. And these are the ones that speak to me. And this particular lineage really speaks to me. And I tell people all the time, do what you're going to do. Whatever you're that
it's
speaks to you.
It's not for everyone.
Right.
Try something
and
different.
There's no right or wrong style of yoga. The best style of yoga is the one that you're going to actually do. So
that's like any workout.
Right.
People, whether they're coming in to lose weight or get healthy or just find something new to focus on, like any kind of exercise is what's right for me is not right for you.
Correct.
You might love lifting weights. I might love riding my bike. You might love yoga. Like, doesn't matter.
As long as you're going to do it, then fantastic.
Yeah. And it relaxes you or you find something. All right, back online.
Yep.
So you've launched your online courses.
I did.
So this will be your couple minutes here to talk about what you're doing with your online platform.
Yeah, so I launched that back in, I guess in March, really. I kind of had a soft launch in the fall when I first got certified. I had just some teacher friends that I would practice teaching online with them and get some feedback from them just to get me comfortable with it because I had taken classes online, but I hadn't taught classes online.
Yeah.
So that was different. And so I started offering classes in March. I launched my website. I have, social media pages. And that's been a lot of fun. Just right now for summer, I've got one Bikram class a week that I offer and then one Barkin class a week that I offer. And,
they're live.
And they're live, yes.
Okay.
All my classes are live online, which for me, that's really the beauty of it, because I enjoy taking live online classes. I want to look at my students. I want to give them feedback and just say, drop your right shoulder and, lengthen your back, or whatever the cue is. I'm watching you. And that's what I love when I take online classes, is when the teacher is giving me live feedback and just, shift your weight forward, do this, do that.
Now, is it one-on-one or do you have a group?
Group, but I can do one-on-one, or only one person signs up sometimes. It becomes
that class
one-on-one.
might just be one-on-one.
Yeah, and I do offer private classes as well, and whether it be focusing on a Barkin or a Bikram class, or maybe somebody wants to work on something specific, can kind of tailor it to them. Lots of options.
Yeah,
but I love being able to do that, and being able to offer that. Anywhere. Students can be anywhere around the world. I can be traveling. I can be anywhere, as long as we've got Wi-Fi and a little bit of space.
It affords you the freedom to be able to do what you want anywhere you're at.
And it opens you up to this network of yogis that you wouldn't otherwise get to meet. And I've met people from literally all over the world. I've had a teacher from Indonesia that I wouldn't even know exists, and I follow her. You would have never
connected with that person
right? And
before,
I follow her on social media. I've got teachers that other students that I've met online, and then we've been able to meet in person at in-person events, somewhere else later on. Or one student that we would take classes together, I would see her in class periodically, and she's in New York. And when I would visit my in-laws, I'll message her and be like, hey, are you teaching? Let's find a time and I'll take her class. And it's just these connections that I would never have made otherwise. And again, it was just student to student. We'd see each other, we'd do workshops together. And it's been really neat to create those connections with all those people.
Yeah. And like I said, otherwise you would have never known these people. It's just been Central PA and whoever you traveled, you met someone on a trip.
Right. And we'll give each other feedback and follow each other on social media, and sometimes, just ask each other questions, and it's just nice to have that.
Yeah, because they're probably teaching and they're like, hey, well, they might run into a problem that you've had or vice versa. And it's great to be able to share, tips and new things you discover or whatever. Because it's not like your competition, but it's such a big universe that you're not going to.
Right.
You're not really stealing from each other.
Exactly. Yeah. And I remember several years ago, sometime during COVID, another student had been following me on social media, and she reached out to ask me tips. I wasn't even a teacher yet. But it was nice. I'm I'm not a teacher. But this is what my teachers have told me, and this is what I'm working on.
But it's nice that thank you for asking.
So, right.
Makes
and it was
feel good.
Nice to have that contact. And actually, I just met her this past spring in person, and we've kept in touch. She's actually taken one of my online classes.
Nice.
It's been nice to just have those connections with people.
Yeah. Now, the online platform, you mentioned your website earlier. Where's the website?
openheartonlineyoga.com.
Got it.
Straightforward, very simple.
We'll put the link in the show notes for it and on our social post. But so your website, is it is it a membership? Are people able to buy single classes, or how's that all?
So people can do a drop-in single class pass, or you can do a 5-class pass as well. So totally up to the individual how they want to do it.
Nice. And this might be something that you're I don't want to do that because of what you just told me. But is it a thing, or have you ever thought of this where there are a library of past or pre-recorded things? So if there is a membership where people get access to this later? I've
thought about that.
Yeah.
But it's not what I want to do.
That's fine.
Yeah. Because I really think the value comes in those live classes. And I've done, recorded classes on my own. And I know personally, 9 out of 10 times I slack in those classes because nobody is watching me.
There's no accountability with it.
Right. Oh, look, there's a fly in the room. Let me take a look at that. And you just get distracted. And, oh, there's a dust bunny in the corner. The mind starts to wander, and you let it wander because why not? Nobody's watching me. So to me, the value is in the live online, to have that connection with the students, that they can connect with me, that I can give them feedback, and if they've got questions, they can ask the question, and we can really be there for each other. So.
Well, and just like you said, how you've met all these people, are they able to see the other people in there with them? So then I'm sure there's also connections being made later, because these same two people keep showing up to the same classes, and they're like, hey, I think I met you. And like,
that's
you're
exactly right.
creating more connections and more connections, the more and more people you get into them as well.
That's exactly right. And that's really, there's a lot of value in that. And I offer the classes on Zoom. And
so it's easy.
It's very easy. Yep. And the requirement is just to have your camera on so I can see you.
Right.
I mean, that's the whole purpose on it. Plus it makes sure that, people are legit on there.
Right. And then they're doing what you're asking them to.
Right.
The first time that you did them online though, were you like, okay, like no one's in the room with me?
It was weird. Like my very first online class was definitely weird, and I didn't know the instructor. Like I just kind of said, okay.
No, I mean
like,
when the first one
when
you
I
did.
taught.
Yeah.
Oh, the first one I taught. I guess no, because
I guess we're used to Zoom by then too.
Yes, I'm used to Zoom, and I knew the people. Like it was other people that I had practiced with or I've taken class from.
Yeah.
So and
and by the time you started it,
I was 5-6 years into Zoom.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Everyone knew what Zoom and Teams and all the apps were by then. So that makes sense.
I'm very, very used to Zoom and comfortable on it. And
I just imagine his first time, like, okay, we're going to turn it on. And you're like,
yeah.
All right.
But my first time taking a Zoom class was weird.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay. And I'm like,
I remember like when that was a thing, like no one knew what Zoom was in 2019. But like the first meeting we had on Zoom, I was like, this is weird.
And I'm like, yoga on Zoom? Like, really? And like, I was skeptical. And then I'm like, oh, but the teacher's actually paying attention to me. And like, okay. I'm like, I got on board pretty quickly.
And you had no option during COVID. Yeah.
And then, you just keep doing it. I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. And most of my classes are still on Zoom to this day.
Yeah.
And it opens up, a wealth of classes you can take, whether it be the beginner 26 and 2 Bikram series. I do a lot of the intermediate and advanced classes now as well. I've got different sites that I look at, different time zones, and kind of just pick and choose what works for my schedule and keep practicing.
Very cool. Now, is there like tiers that you have for people, or is there anything you wanted to kind of shout out as far as if people are interested in signing up?
The best way to sign up is really through, if you go on my website, and then there's the schedule is posted on my website, and then there's a link. Right now, because it is still such a young business, it's really straightforward. Just PayPal, and I'll send you the Zoom link and be done with that. Yeah. At some point, as the business grows, I would like to get a more formal platform so that you can just sign up through whatever system, and then they'll send you the
kind of like a schedule. And, yeah.
But right now, and I've looked into that, but right now I can't justify the expense.
Yeah.
I'm still growing.
There's a tipping point when you get there where you'll be like, well, there's two tipping points. One where you'll be able to afford it. Not that you can't now. I don't mean it that way, but like where it makes sense.
Yes.
And then there's the other tipping point where you're like, I'm tired of sending these links out manually.
Right.
I'm losing my mind. And then you'll be like, let's just do it. Because it's like your time is more valuable than the couple $100 a month it is for the thing.
And right now it's like, okay, I mean, yes, like I can afford it, but then I'm like, I'm just bleeding money, I'm like, I need to.
There'll be a moment,
so at some point, hopefully sometime in the next year, fingers crossed, we'll get to that point. But right now it's just, you can PayPal me and I'll send out the link. And
but that's fine. Everyone starts.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I like the small classes. It's nice to have the personal attention, and and most of the classes I've been to are 10 or less people, which is a nice number. And I don't see it growing that big. If it ever does, I would just cap it and offer more classes,
right?
So that I can still give people that individual attention, because I think that's important. I don't want to just rattle off the cues and not pay attention to the bodies doing them.
Right.
I want to be able to give them that feedback and help them along the way in their own practice so that they can keep growing and be safe. I don't want anybody getting hurt.
Right. Yeah, that's the other thing. You also have to make sure that you're not overdoing it for yourself and for any of your clients.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on and sharing your story. Is there anything else you wanted to shout out and kind of update real quick? If I know you're new, but if you have anything announcement wise.
You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram is my main page for my business. It's just Open Heart Online Yoga. And I post updates there. I've been trying to post regularly, but anybody listening to this podcast, if they want to take a class, they can mention this podcast and their first class will be free. So would love to.
There we go. They can just put it in the messages. When
Yep, they can put it in the. Yep, they can direct message me, or if they just want to sign up on PayPal, they can put it in the notes. But yeah, and my email is ohonlineyoga@outlook.com.
Okay.
You can always email me or direct message me, Facebook or Instagram, and love to talk to anyone.
That's awesome. No, I'm excited to see you guys grow. And no, I appreciate you coming on. We'll put all that info at the end there in our show notes. I
appreciate you having me today. This is great.
Yeah, I learned a little bit. I learned some new words. I probably can't pronounce them now, but
okay.
No, I think it's very interesting, and it's such a big world. And when you just hear yoga and you're on the outside, you're like, oh, it's this little thing, and then you start hearing other people talk about it, and you're like, there's all these types and names and methods, and it's very cool.
Yeah.
But thank you.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. If you're interested in becoming a guest on the Lead Lamp podcast, or you need some help with some digital marketing services, make sure you give us a shout.